It was at this moment that he knew.
I just realized something. We can't fit a brake disc on this.
There's our track. So how about that?
That's why we wear safety glasses.
I probably would have sold this thing about 2-3 weeks ago. Dedication to make sure that you guys see it run. Today, we're gonna begin
the happening.
Many of you may not enjoy it, but I kind of like my face. So I'm gonna use my welding mask just in case something crazy happens. Oh, it's happening. Okay, let's go.
PB Nutbuster is flammable. Baby, we going to war. Uncle Daddy. You didn't think I knew about him? Buy cheap tools. What the hell? You need to be incarcerated. I have never had a piece of plastic best me like, well, her dresser drawer. We're gonna have some pretty close measurements whenever we drop the engine in this cart. I'm gonna use the original mounting points on the Z650 frame, and this will help me better understand where our chain drive is gonna be, so that way I can get a better idea of how I need to go about doing the drive line. We didn't need that, did we? This should give us a much better understanding of where our motor is actually going to sit in the frame, so then I can start figuring my life out.
This rear differential is definitely going to get in our way, so that's why we're doing the hackening today.
A wee bit of difficulty. For all of you out there who have trouble getting your thumb into gloves, put it in first. Bibbidi bobbidi. Or you can just spit on it. Usually works for me. We're going to cut the entire rear end out of this thing. Sorry, Neil. We're upgrading it. Putting a chain drive differential in it. Oh, and Neil, if you press the bearing off of the back side of these axle shafts, remove this whole thing. A new master cylinder is like $288 though. It's called a spider assembly, I believe. Maybe it's called a spider mount. Spider-Man. That's a whole lot of gang, my boy. Okay, a good idea is always followed up with good planning. So, 37 inches roughly, 37 and a half from center bore. We're gonna call it 22. So 15 on the left, 22 on the right. On to the next one.
That's why we wear safety glasses. That's why we wear
How about that?
safety glasses.
How about that?
I kind of knew that was coming. If I'm going to be honest. Not 2 points, ladies and gentlemen. Not today.
Most of these chain drive differentials are CV axles with independent rear suspension. We're looking for road racing. We don't really need the articulate suspension. We're doing a solid axle chain driven limited slip. We're going to put pillow blocks on here instead of these conical bearings. Then we're going to put pillow blocks and stop blocks on our axles, keeping those retained, build it on a jig, and then weld it on a plate in the cart. It gives us all the benefits of a limited slip differential and a chain drive. A lot of really good competitive components for road racing, and that's our main goal here.
That shit hurted. Once now that I have a partially broken finger and we have both of our bearings off, I believe we're part near there. We'll have to remove this pinion ring, start to look at how to mount a sprocket on there. It's that easy, ladies and gentlemen. You only have to sacrifice one thumb to the bearing gods. Alright, if that diff wasn't monstrously yuckered before, it sure is now. Need some measurements. Some would say that's a lot and say it's a 41 millimeter. And if I have to trim it down to a 40, we'll get her figured out, buddy. I don't want to have to press anything on here, so let's go 42. Yeah, let's go 42. It's easier to shim than it is to press these things on. We have a bit of a relic on our hands. It's a wee little Milwaukee from the 80s, I believe. It's got the original paper in it. Tell me if this is worth anything, you guys. It's not for sale, by the way. Not for sale, mate. Phew! Yep, there's a crack in the axle tube. It looks like they patched it. It goes all the way through right where that little crack is. I guess it was a good thing we got rid of the axle tube. Shut up, Matt. There it is. I do believe there's no going back now. There's our crack. You can tell where they patched it and where it was leaking. We could have probably ran it for a couple more runs, Matt, but yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Matt doesn't exist. I'm just talking to him in my head. So look at all the room for activities. And I believe the pillow block bearings just got here. All right, now what? You guys don't know? Sick. Let's see what they've brought us today. What is it, Dad? What is it? What is it? Is it a pillow block bearing? Oh, dude, Dad, you shouldn't have. Now let's see if it fits or not. That's gonna be tight. Yep, we're gonna have to shave some off that because that is a snug fit. What? Bro, why are these at an angle? Do you see that? See how it's at an angle? I don't know. What in the coronation? Well, let's hope the other one's not like that. Nope, it is. That just made my job 110 times harder. The primary issue that we're going to have when we build this differential pillow block setup is fitting it into the cart and making sure that it's aligned properly. When we originally had this idea, we thought that it would fit perfectly underneath, and it doesn't. This bar that's in the center is going to cause us some very big pain. Our primary pillow block off of our spider gear assembly is directly above the center of that bar. That's our center line. The center of our drive line has to go into the center of that bar right there. And that just so happens to be this pillow block that's in the way. So that's gonna cause us some issues. But I think with enough time and a little bit of ingenuity, we're going to be able to make this work. It is not going to be as simple as I originally thought it was going to be, but that's how the cookies are made. You know, we're doing the right thing as far as being competitive in SCCA Autocross. This is going to be something that really puts us over the edge compared to just putting in a solid axle. I think we're doing this justice by putting the chain drive differential back here, and hopefully whenever all of this is done, we're just going to have a big fiberglass engine cover over it, make it look like the Andretti Kart. This has got to be so precise, and that's what most of our hiccup is coming from right now. Just a little bit above my pay grade here, and that's okay. That's okay. When you fail, you learn. You never learn from successes, you only learn from failures. I'm a big proponent of that. Good news is it really doesn't take that much once we get it completed. I think it'll be pretty easy to fix any kind of issue because it's all just adjustment by the bolts. I mean, worst case scenario, we completely restart and we're looking, I've got spare metal to rebuild all of this. I'll rebuild it better. I strongly believe that we are very close to putting the engine in this thing. Very, very close. And I don't know about you, but I cannot wait for that. The question here is, do we take our original axle bearings off? It'd be fine. Worst case scenario, we'll need to put an extra pillow block here. See, the issue that I'm dealing with here is trying to build this in the frame. I got to build it on the ground to make it perfect. Perfect. So let me show you. You see? 23 inches. Shoo. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build it on the ground and then cut out what I don't need and weld that as the support in between. And that's going to work. It is nice that we can flip this because then we can take our chain drive from over here, like right here, to right here, just by flipping the axles in and out. So that's something cool we can do. But our motor is about 12 inches wide. So about right there. So you put it right in the middle, center line, 6 inches to the left. That's where our sprocket is. If we move it just slightly to the right, off balancing us to the right just a bit by about a 1/2 inch, that puts us just about in line with our sprocket. So it needs to go this way. And that gets us mounting our engine as close as possible to the center line, balancing us left and right. Worst case scenario, I use some U-bolts here for this pillow block, which I bought some just in case. I believe sometimes you got a wreck truck, get the insurance money to make truck payment. I have a feeling that that is going to work. And we'll mount our pillow blocks upside down, just like that. Same with this one, all 4 of them actually. And then we can do just like that, kabam. That puts us center line close to middle of our axle, puts our engine close to center line, puts our chain right here. I think that works. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby. So what I'm trying to do here is get rid of these brakes because this master cylinder is toast anyway. It's got a pretty big crack right here. I think we're gonna do a disc brake assembly on this.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Should work, at least for temporary construction. One of these in the center, or well, 3. So 1 right there, 1 right there, 1 right there, and that should work. That should be pretty tight. Here is basically this, but exactly that far apart, just like that. And then put a plate here, get it exactly shimmed, nice and flat. We'll get her done. 3 out of each, so 9, 3, 6, 9. I need 7, so it's perfect. Perfect. Our primary focus here is going to be maintaining parallelity. We want everything to be super parallel. I think that's going to be pretty easy. But I have been wrong before, because if we're off, it's going to be very bad. Go figure, I didn't cut these perfectly straight. Wow. Let's see how far off I am. Take measures over there, because I'll never know. It's kind of what we're going for there. Gosh damn it. Realistically, we build the other one. This will be suspended off the ground. We can do our leveling. Everything should be good. The main thing that we want to avoid here is we can't have this axle too far forward or too far back. We can't have it too far up or too far down or diagonally in any direction. It has to be perfectly parallel with the differential. Once we get to the point to where we are finding it in the frame, we can't have one wheel too far forward or one too far back. So we have to make sure this is perfectly parallel, up, down, left, right, front, center, and make sure it's parallel with the front tires, and make sure that the axle combination itself is perfectly centric inside of the vehicle, or we will have a wheel offset on one side. We'll have to make sure everything's true, parallel, and there's no way to adjust it after we get it in other than moving the entire axle itself. So this is gonna be hard. It's pretty difficult. You know, some would say that this would have been a lot easier just to put a jack shaft in it, but my imaginary friend keeps telling me that's not the way to do things. Oh. And once we get it in our frame, we don't have much room, so that's cool. Ow, hit the color. Oh. Well, today we figured out that we were about a 1/2 degree from the splines to the hub on our differential jig, which means we've got to cut that down by about 50%, because if this end down here is sitting too far down, what it's going to do is it's going to cause this side to pitch up. So you're going to be rubbing on the top half of your spider gears really, really hard. It's going to cause overheating. The bearings are going to degrade. It's just no good. So what we've got to do today is figure out a way to make this perfectly collinear on a concrete floor. That's easy. I will be using this indiscriminate beverage can to shim my pillow block. All of this is going to change because it's going to be welded into the frame. So it doesn't even matter how straight, I get it, because the frame is going to warp, and then it has to be re-welded. Whew, there's got to be a better way to do this. When metal gets hot, it expands, and then when it contracts, it changes shape because it's misaligned the molecules in the metal itself. You do that again and again and again and again, and you end up with this, where nothing is flush anymore. That is going to happen when I finish welding this, and then when I'm done welding it out here and getting it all straight and true, I'm putting it back in the cart, and I have to weld it into the cart as well. So that is going to cause it to warp even more. This was destined to fail since I started. That is pretty cool. I think for y'all's sake, I'm gonna weld this and hope for the best. That's what this is all about. We're gonna live and we're gonna learn. We're probably gonna learn more than we're gonna live, but we are going to live and learn. And there just ain't no two ways around it. So, pitter patter. Yeah, we're just gonna weld this up and hope for the best. You know what I mean, jelly bean?
Three days later.
Everything welded. I think the next stop is go to welding school because I suck at it. 1. Do a burnout in the street, I guess. Check. We need to drill pilot holes for our pillow blocks and our hardware, which I've got right here. Okay. 20, 20, 20, 20 vision. No. Wait a minute. I want to say this is wrong. I want to say that I ended up less hardware than what I need. Almost certain of it. So I'm gonna have to go back and get more hardware. Cool. Perfect. Great. Well, my bike's wet. That ain't gonna do it. It might. It just might. More motor honey. Phew. Let's check for square. It's pretty damn close. This one's alright. Where are my nuts? Where are my nuts at? I need longer hardware. God, it's a madhouse around here. Just an absolute disaster zone. I'll be glad when I'm done with this thing so I can clean my garage. Yeah, it's not straight at all. Ha ha! You hear that? That's what good pudding sounds like. No chunks. I'm kind of just chilling here. This might work after all. It is gonna grenade though. 100%. All right, that was easy. We've got some things checked off the list today. Our main concern going forward is going to be making sure that these axles are not out of collinearity more than 1/4 of a degree. Phew. I'm a bit concerned about that, but I think we're going to be able to do it, and we're going to do it with washers. I think. We're going to complete the jig. That's when we can put it in here. I'm going to get it lined up as well as possible on here, and then take it all back apart and figure out where we're going to weld all of that. Yep, all of that hard work. We're going to cut it and re-weld it back in here, and it's definitely going to line up the exact same way as it does now. But as of right now, We have no binding, no chunkiness. One spins, the other one doesn't. Like it's on rails. It's not bad. Add some shims to get everything kind of perfect. Then line up our drive line once everything is completed, and then we're ready to put the motor in. This is going to be very, 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 very difficult. I think we're going to end up flipping the whole thing and then cut into the C channel and marry it to the back end. So that way it's structural. It has extra rigidity from this bar back here, and it'll make it much easier for us to line it up in the cart, I think. At this point, I don't rightly know what I'm doing. But that's what this is about. This whole channel is designed to show you that you can do any of this stuff so long as you put your mind to it, you do a little bit of Googling, and you throw some time at it. You don't need a whole bunch of tools. You don't need something crazy. This welder was 300 bucks. I'll link it in the description. The chop saw, I think it was like 120 bucks. And you don't need the chop saw, a good grinder, a good welder, and I could have done all of this. That's just a nicety, but I'll link it no matter what. Super great saw. The welds look absolutely terrible. We're on the home stretch. We're almost done with it, and we're so close to hearing this thing run. You can thank Lowe's that we don't have this in because I don't have the right hardware. So when you're looking at the geometry of this, each one of these axles is kind of free flowing. As you can see, I can move the axle forward, I can move it backward, and I can move it up and down. That's where the huge issue in this is. So if it is too far up, it causes pressure downward on the inside spider gear and pushing it forward, and it pushes it against the inside of our assembly, which creates friction, which wears out the bearing on the interior portion of this gear. And the same thing can be said for the pillow block. So it has to be what's called collinear, which means each one of these has to be within a quarter of a degree is like really your error of margin. So if this is up half a degree and this is at 0, that's too much. That is too much play. Even if it doesn't damage the bearing, it'll eat the gear, and then the teeth will start breaking off. Or you'll have one of these pillow blocks fail, and now we have an issue.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
I just realized something. We can't fit a brake disc on this. And that'll be the end of the episode. Catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to. It's absolutely free. Doesn't cost you a thing. It does, however, help the channel out, help revive this Mario Kart. You get a free show of somebody who's constantly swimming at a level that they cannot. I probably would have sold this thing about 2-3 weeks ago if it wasn't for my dedication to make sure that you guys see it run.